and Department of Computer Science and Engineering. I, Mrs. Radhika Mukherjee, welcome our esteemed speaker, Mr. Ashwin Kumar Balani, for today's session. It is my great pleasure to introduce Balani sir. Mr. Ashwin Kumar Balani is his expertise in many technologies like Android app development, Flutter, matrix signal processing, .NET framework, PHP, blockchains, cryptocurrency is truly remarkable. Some of his valuable contributions include training module for Indian Army. He is also an active member of Startup Leadership Program Mumbai chapter and was awarded as the most dedicated entrepreneur for year 2016 to 17 at Mumbai. Today, Sir will provide us with valuable insight on the topic tools and technology on blockchain. Sir, I kindly request you to begin your session. Sir, over to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the introduction. Good evening, everyone. I think most of you were present in the last session as well. So we'll continue from there what we did in the previous session. And in today's session, we'll be adding to our knowledge base how to actually create a new blockchain from scratch using Python. Secondly, we will see how we can implement different kind of consensus in Python, and how can we basically design any kind of storage system using blockchain with Python. So I'll share my screen with everyone, and I would request all of you to please open Colab. I'm sharing the link of Colab to you. Just go on that particular link, open that, and then based on that, we'll start with the session. Okay. So this is the link of Colab. Yeah. So now I'm sharing my screen with you. Okay. I think you can see my screen now. If you can see my screen, just write yes on chat window, and else just
No, sir, no, sir. Screen is not.
what, ma'am?
Screen is not
No,
visible.
Not
no, sir,
visible. I'm
screen is not visible.
sharing it once again. Please check
Yes, now
now.
it is visible.
Okay, so I think every one of you know about Collab. Last time we did the session on Collab only. So if you go on line and click on collab.research or Google, you'll be able to log into this particular screen, which is this one. If everyone is done with that, click on New Notebook. Okay. Once we are done with this, we'll first try to understand what are we going to do today. And based on that, we'll start with the coding part directly. Today, there will be less of copy and paste like we did last time, and more of hands-on coding. So I would request all of you to be a bit more responsive, as in when I say if you have done something, just write yes or no on the chat window, so that I'll be able to understand that all of you are doing the same thing together. Okay, so today what we are going to do is, our today's session is divided into 3-4 parts. The first part is, we'll be first trying to design a simple blockchain, wherein we'll be understanding how to create a block, how to add a block to a chain, and how to view the chain. this is the first part that we will be doing today. Once that is over, then we will be adding hashes to the block, and we'll be learning how to track a blockchain with the help of hashes. Okay, and then we'll be doing something called as consensus mechanisms, where we'll be understanding what is the consensus mechanism, and we'll be implementing POW, that is proof of work, as a consensus mechanism. And we'll be seeing, if we implement proof of work, how this particular consensus requires us to have a lot of computational resources, and how would this proof of work helps the blockchain network to add blocks to the network. Okay, so with that knowledge, let's go to this particular thing step by step. We'll first create a simple blockchain. Okay, so for the sake of this particular workshop, I am trying to create a more realistic example, wherein we'll be creating a blockchain which contains a set of transactions between people. Okay, so it's a banking kind of blockchain, wherein one people or one person is transacting with the other person, and in the blockchain we'll have a list of all these transactions. Okay, so in our blockchain, the first thing is we need to create a block. Okay, so I would request every one of you to come on this collab platform, and I'll just rename this thing to workshop blockchain, and let's make a new block. Let's say maybe we make the block as B1, and inside the block B1, I will request you to do a curly bracket open and curly bracket close. That will basically mean you have created a new dictionary in Python with a blank kind of a structure. Okay, so if that is clear to you, then write B1. Now the block has something called the source. We'll say source. Let's say source is Ajay, and block B1 destination is Pankaj. So we have two people who are transacting. The source of this particular blockchain, which is transacting, is Ajay. Destination is Pankaj. And let's say the block B1 has the amount as 500. Okay. So the blockchain has three fields now: a source, a destination, and an amount. We'd also require the time of the transaction. So I'll say blockchain b1.ts, which is the timestamp, is equals to the current time. So to get the current time in Python, you simply need to say import time at the top over here, and you need to say time.time. This will give you the current time that you can use in the chain. Now that's one block for us. We'll create one more block, which is B2, is a blank block. I'll copy the entire thing from here, and I'll say B2 dot source is say Vijay or Pankaj. B2 dot destination is say Pooja, and amount is say 150, and time is time.time. Okay. If this is done with all of you, just write done on the chat window and we can move ahead. Okay, for those who have just joined, we are starting to create a new blockchain, wherein we want to create a simple block first. So this is the block. Our blockchain is currently using transactional blockchain wherein we are storing the transactions between two people. So the first block contains the source, which is Ajay, destination, which is Pankaj, and amount, which is 500. Now, this transaction happened today at the current time. So I'll say B1 TS is the timestamp, is time.time. I'll explain you what the timestamp indicates, but for now, just understand that to get the time from the Python library, we need to use time.time. Then we use B2 as a block, which is a blank block. Then we do B2 source Pankaj, B2 dash Puja, B2 amount 150, and B2 TS is time.time. Okay. Just do this thing, and once you're done, just write print B1 and print B2. Save the code and click on run. Okay. So once you are done, just write down chat window and we can move ahead. Very good. I think Atul, the main admin is done, Sonam is done, Harsh is done. Very good. Thanks, Jamukeshwar sir. Thanks, Srinivas sir. Very good. Thanks, Sonam ma'am. Very good. So I think some of you are done with that. If you run the code, you'll be able to see that you are getting a source, a destination, an amount, and a TS. Now, this TS is basically a timestamp. I'll explain you what this timestamp indicates. If you just click a new tab and write timestamp to date converter, okay, you'll be getting an epoch converter over here. Now, what this basically means is every time or every value of time that you see today, as in if I say what is the time right now, the timestamp, yes or no, it's the Unix timestamp. The timestamp basically means the number of seconds passed since January 1, 1970 till date, as in till today. So if I see this timestamp, the first timestamp that I got, if I copy this timestamp over here and I paste it inside the epoch converter, I'll be able to see that this timestamp is of December 6, 2024 and at 6:17:31. Okay, so this is what a timestamp indicates. It's a number which can be used for representing the current time. Okay, with that knowledge, we are now able to create two blocks, but we are not able to connect these blocks together. As in, there is no way where if we have got this particular block, from this block we can jump to the second block. Okay, I hope everyone knows what a blockchain is from our last session. Yes or no? If you don't know, just write no and I can just give a quick revision. If it's clear, then we can just skip that part and we can move ahead. Yes, I think everyone knows what a blockchain is. If no, just type no and we can move and we can just take a small session on that. But I think we have covered blockchain in depth in the last session. We are now just trying to implement that. Okay. For those of you who were not in the last session, no problem. Just go along. You will be able to understand what a blockchain is and how we can connect the blocks together. So what we'll do right now is we'll create another variable at the top with the name blockchain. We'll make it blank, which means that there are no blocks inside the blockchain as of now. And when the block B1 is created, we'll say blockchain.append B1. Similarly, we'll say blockchain.append B2. And instead of printing the entire B1, B2, we'll say print blockchain. So what we have done basically is we have created an array, which is a blank array. We have added the B1 block into the array, and we have added the B2 block also into the array. Okay, so that is what we have done until now. If that is done, just click on run, and you'll be able to get this array of blocks, wherein this is the first block and this is the second block. Okay, but still this is not a chain, because this is only a set of blocks which are present inside a array. Okay, so if that is done, we'll move ahead, and we all know that there is something missing inside the block which is not yet added. Can anyone tell me what that thing is, which will help us to connect the blocks together?
Hash code.
Yes,
Hash code.
that's very correct. We need to find out a hash value for the block, and we have to store the hash value of this particular block inside the next block. Okay, that's very right. So we first need to find out the hash value of every block that we add, and based on that hash value, we need to store that hash value inside the next block. That is why that is how we create a chain. Okay, so if I'm able to just show that to you inside a simple visualization, it should go like this. We have a yeah, we have 1 second. Let the page load. So this is one block that we just created, which contains some information, and we want to add one more block. So we created one more block like this. Now what we want to do is we want to connect these two blocks together in the form of a chain. So this block, there will be a hash of this block called as h1, and this hash will be stored inside the second block, which say h1. Now this block will have a hash h2, which will be stored inside the third block, which will be having hash h2. Okay, and so on and so forth. So now every block has its own hash and a hash of a previous block. Okay, so yeah, Polmer sir, I'll share the code with you in just a second. I'll just share the code in chat window so that we all are on the same line. Yeah, this is the code till now. So this is the code till now. We are just trying to add the code to create a hash. Okay, so let's create the hash of the first block and store the hash inside the first block. Also, store this hash inside the second block's previous hash. So that is where we will link the blocks together. Are we clear with that, everyone? Yes or no? Perfect. So as per our knowledge of the previous session, we need to create a hash value, right? So for that, we'll be using an algorithm called as SHA-256. Now let's see how that algorithm can be coded inside this particular blockchain. Secondly, the hash algorithm will require a string, as in we would be required to pass to the hash function the source value, the dest value, the amount value, and the TS value, along with the previous hash value. Okay. Now, because this is the first block, B1, there will be no previous hash, because there is no hash over here. If the hash is not present, then that is the first block, also called as Genesis block. Okay. Genesis means the start of time as per the Christian nomenclature. So they have also included that nomenclature over here. So what I'll do is I'll just say B1 previous hash, which is PH, equals to blank, which will make sure that the block one has no previous hash. Okay. And I will say b1 dot hash equals to find hash b1. So let's see what we did. We created one more variable or one more field inside the block b1 with the name ph or previous hash. And this ph is now blank, means this ph contains no values because that's the first block. Okay. And we have also created one more field inside this b1 called as hash. And we are using a function called as find hash to find the hash of b1. Are we clear with that? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Perfect. If we are clear with that, please write these two lines of code wherein you are doing b1 ph equals to blank and b1 hash equals to find hash b1. Make sure in the find hash f is small, h is capital, so that every one of us can write the same function later. Okay. I hope we are all done with that. Now we will write the function find hash inside our code. To write that function, just come to the top of the code and import a library called as hashlib. Just write this thing down. From hashlib, import SHA-256. So we'll be importing the SHA-256 library from hashlib. Okay. And write a function called as function, or just write def find hash, pass a block b to it, b the block that we'll be passing to it. Okay. We'll not use the AI generated code. We'll write our own code. If this is done, so can you just share the error with me? What error you're getting? Find hash will be having an error right now because we have not defined the function as of now. We are now doing that function. Okay. That's perfectly okay. So you just write from hashlib import SHA-256 and write def find hash. This find hash should have the same name as the find hash you passed over here. And we are passing a block B inside the find hash function. Okay. So now what we'll do is we'll say bstr or block str equals to b dot ph, which is the previous hash of the block. Bstr equals to bstr dot b dot source, which is the source of the particular block. And copy the same thing again. Destination, TS or amount, and TS. But while doing bstr.b amount, make it bstr.str of b amount. That will convert the amount into a string. Similarly, str of ts will convert the timestamp into a string. Okay. If that is done, just write done on chat window and we can move ahead from here. What we are doing is we are simply creating a string which contains previous hash appended with the source of the block, appended with destination of the block, appended with the amount, appended with the TS value. Okay. Thanks, Jamukeshwar sir. Thanks, Sonu ma'am. Anyone else is done? Thanks, Srinivas, sir. Thanks, Harsh. Okay, I think most of you are done with this. What we will be doing now is we'll be converting this string into a hash value when we are using SHA-256. Just write over here return, and in return, just write this thing particular and just write this particular thing down. Return SHA-256 of what? Of BSTR, which is the string that we just encoded into UTF-8 format, dot hex digest. This will convert this particular BSTR into a series of bytes, and this bytes will be converted into a SHA-256 array, and it will hex the array. Means it will convert that array into a hexadecimal form, and based on that, you will be able to get a string. Okay, once you are done, just write done on chat window and we can move ahead with this. Once this is done, just run the code and see if you are able to get the hash of the block B1 stored inside the blockchain. Okay. Okay, Sunal ma'am, let me just go through it one by one. BSTR is the string that you just encoded, which was containing a previous hash, the source, the dest, the amount, and the TS value. Basically, all the values from here except the hash. Then you encoded that into UTF-8, means you encode that into 8 bytes each, means each of these values will be converted into 8 bytes. You converted this particular entire 8 bytes of array into a SHA-256 string, and the SHA-256 string was converted into hex digest. This hex digest will convert the string into hexadecimal form, and that hexadecimal form will be returned from this function. What will happen is, when you say find hash B1, this B1 will be passed over here. You will get all the values. You will find the SHA-256 value, and you store that value inside the hash. Okay. Similarly, what you do is, before appending the block B2, you say B2 hash equals to find hash B2. So because of this, you will be able to find the hash value of that particular block. Okay. Once that is done, just click on run, and you'll be able to see an output. We just see. Okay, I think we need to just write b2 dot plus instead of doing dot. Let's see if this works. BSTR is BPH. Key error PH for B2. Oh, that's okay, no problem. If this error is there, it's perfectly okay. Just replace the dots with a plus sign in the find hash function. If you have written dots, just make it plus sign.
So we have append the string, I think, sir.
Yeah, we append the string. Yes, yes.
Convert into hash 256. I mean, SHA-2 using SHA-256.
Using SHA-256, correct. What we are doing is we are basically appending all the elements of the block, and we're creating a string out of it. And based on the string, we are using a hash function on the string. Okay, so if that is done, and if you run the code now by saying B1 hash is find hash, B2 hash is find hash, and you run, and you get an error, it's perfectly okay. We will see what error is that. It's not an error, it's basically a logical mistake made by us, but we'll correct that mistake for sure. But if this is running and this is the error where it says key error PH, then it's perfectly okay. Okay. So Jambukeshwar sir, I think you did B2 hash is find hash B2. Yes. Yes, that's perfectly correct. Yeah. And still it's not giving you any errors. It should give you an error because there is a logical mistake over here. We'll see what mistake is that, and that mistake will help us understand how to link the blocks. Okay. So if the code is running till now and it is just showing an error saying key error ph, it's perfectly okay. Yes, that's perfectly right, Brahmakeshwar sir. We need to store the hash of block B1 into block B2. We'll be doing that right now. Okay, so Narasimha sir, you are doing import hashlib. No, from hashlib, sir. From hashlib, import SHA-256. You're importing SHA-256 from the hashlib library. Yeah. If you run the code and you get the error with the name key error ph, that means your code is correct. And if you are done till now, just write done and we can move ahead. Very good. Jammukeshwar sir, you are saying that B1 hash should be before, should be after B1 TS? Yeah. So that's what we have done. After B1 TS, we have done B1 hash. Yes, correct. Very good, Trupti ma'am. Very nice. So now I think we are done with this. Let's just understand why it is giving an error. Indentation error, expected indentation after block. That's okay. So I think when you are doing this bstr equals to b.ph, you might not have a tab over here. You need to have a tab wherein find hash is a function. Perfectly okay. And then you have to write a colon. As soon as you do a colon, the tab will automatically come and just uh, keep on writing the code after that. Okay. So I think that is done with everyone. What we'll be doing now is we'll be understanding why this code is giving an error by saying key error ph. As we know, for the find hash function, we require a previous hash value for the block. Okay. But in block B1, we have the previous hash value as blank. But for block B2, there is no previous hash value. So can anyone tell me how to find the previous hash value of block 2?
B1 of hash we need to include in the list of B2.
Correct. So what we need to do is we need to do B2 previous hash equals to find hash B1. This will make sure that the hash value of B1 is found again. And based on the hash value, we have stored the hash value inside the B2 block. Okay. So if you run this code now, it will run without any errors. It will also show you the previous hash of the first block is blank. And this is the details of the source destination. This is the hash value of the block that you just created. Okay. The block B1. And see the same hash value AA0FF is stored inside the previous hash of block B2. And this B2 has its own block, Pankaj, Pooja, and so on. And this has its own hash value. If it's working till now, just write done on the chat window and we can move ahead. Very good. Very good. Very good. Okay. Now we have added the blocks to the blockchain and now our blockchain is working perfectly okay. Now what we want to do is we want to create a new code over here. Just write code plus, you'll get a new code. We'll do again import time from hashlib import SHA-256. We'll also import a library called as faker. What this faker library will do is this faker library will um, allow you to add fake blocks or as in fake values which are which are suiting a particular range of data. For example, if I want to create different kind of names for the blockchain, I won't be having 1,000 names, right? The Faker library will help me to introduce those 1,000 names with the help of the uh, library text that it has. Okay, I don't have 10,000 amounts that I can add. The Faker library will help me to add those amounts. Okay, and let's, based on this particular thing, we'll just try to create a new blockchain and we'll try to add blocks to it. Okay, so I want you to copy the code that you have written, def find hash from the top cell, and paste inside this particular thing so that this code remains independent and you can copy this code and paste this entire code in any IDE and it should run. Generally, because this particular block of code has find hash, you don't need to redefine find hash over here. But just for the sake of reproducibility, and then if you just use this code somewhere, it should work. That is why we're doing this. Okay. So now find hash we have written over here. We'll make blockchain as blank, and we will also do something like num blocks, or say num blocks, num b equals to 100. I want to add 100 blocks inside the blockchain. Now what we'll do is we will first go through a loop of these num blocks. We'll create a source, we'll create a destination by using the Faker library, which will generate random text and random numbers. And based on that particular data, we'll be creating the blocks. Okay, let's do for I in range 0, num blocks. And let's wait for a minute over here. Let everyone complete this thing down. If you have imported this 3 lines, if you have copied this code from the previous block, if you have done this blockchain is blank, num blocks is 100, and for I in range, just write done on chat window and we can move ahead. Very good. I think most of you are done with this. Very good. Now, for every block, we have to define a certain set of values. What we'll do is we'll say block B equals to blank. If I is double equal to 0, means we are on the 0th block, then block of ph equals to blank, means if I'm on the first block, there are no previous hashes. Elif, or we'll say else, if we are on the next block, we'll say block of ph equals to find hash blockchain of I minus 1. Means if I is 0, then there is no previous block, so the ph will be blank. Else, the ph will be find hash of the previous block. Now, how to go to the previous block? We have a blockchain array. We'll say blockchain of I minus 1. This will give me the previous hash or the hash of the previous block. Okay. So now make sure that you have completed the if, as in if I is 0, b equals to ph. The tab should be now on the back side. Then press enter, b equals to find hash. Once you press enter, press backspace and enter. That will make sure you have completed the if condition. All done? If you're done, just write done and we can move ahead. Very good. Okay. So now what we want to do is we now want to generate fake names, as in names which are from a set of predefined names inside the library. So what we'll do is we'll do the same code wherein B src equals to faker.faker.name, B destination faker.faker.name, which will give me two names of from the faker library. Amount is 1000. We'll not keep the amount 1000. We will again use a faker library to um, create this amount by saying faker.faker.py float, and we'll use the min value of the amount as 10, max value as 1000. This will make sure that the amount is always a random number between 10 and 1000, and it will make sure that it is always positive. So positive is always true over here. Then we will do p.ts is time.time that we did previously as well in the previous code, and b.hash is find hash of b. And then we'll do blockchain.append b, and we'll also do print b. That will make sure that the blockchain contains the block and we're able to print the block. Okay. So please write this code down. And once you're done with that, just write done on chat window and we can move ahead. If you feel that typing the same thing is an overkill, I'll just copy this for loop for you, because we don't have that much time that we wait for the code to be copied for everyone. And I'm just pasting that thing. Just copy this code inside your for loop, and you should be able to get this thing done. Once you run, it will say module not found faker. So I think if a module is not found, you know what to do. You first need to pip install the module. So at the top, you need to write exclamation mark pip install faker. And if you run the code now, it should work fine. Okay. So sorry, I just tried blockchain in range 0 to num blocks. I'm so sorry. The range should be 0. I just write 9 over there by mistake. I just copy the same code once again for you. The code is this one, the new one that I have sent. In the previous code, there was range 9 to 0. It should be from 0 to num blocks, not from 9 to num blocks. And once you're done, if you just run the code now, you should be able to get an output like this. So as you can see, I'm getting 100 blocks. The first block has a source of some name, to some name, some amount, and some timestamp, and the hash value. The same hash value 268F4 is the hash value over here.
Sir, I am getting index error, sir. List index out of range.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Make I in range 0, num blocks. You might be having 9, num blocks over here. Make it 0, num blocks.
No, sir, I have written 0, num blocks.
Okay, so what
I
I
in
can do,
range of 0, num blocks.
that's perfectly okay. What I can do is, if we try to sort the error in the code, it might take some time. Yeah. So I think Sonal ma'am is getting an error which says no module named faker. No problem. Just do this line at the top, exclamation mark pip install faker, and it should work fine. Because faker is a library which is available externally, not with Collab. To install that library, just to pip install faker. And who was getting the error, the line error or the index error?
Sir, I'm
If you
getting the index error. List
yeah,
index out of range.
yeah,
That is
just go to this particular link on Collab. You should be able to get my code. Just copy this code from my collab to your collab and try to run that code. Mostly the error should be over here only, or you might not have done I double equal to 0. Just check what is the issue and try to run the code, or you might have written the code like this. Okay, so in that case, what
okay, sir. I see.
would happen is the if condition might have come, but in the if condition you might not have added the block. That is why the block is not there. That's why it might be giving you an error. So make sure that this particular code, this entire code is outside the if condition, because we are using the if condition only and only to make sure that we have a previous hash.
Sir, I'm encounter this error at a if condition. If I is equal to 0, there I'm getting error.
If I double equal to 0,
Yes.
there you should not get any error. Can you just share me your screen?
Okay, sir. Just give me a
Yeah,
second.
please. For everyone else, if you are done, just write done on chat window and we can move ahead.
Or else, sir, you can continue, sir. I will work on it.
Just do one thing, sir.
I'll
I
copy
am
your code
giving.
and I'll work on it.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, please. I think there might be some issue in terms of this if condition. You might have written this entire code inside the else block. That might be one of the cases, which is why the if condition might not be adding the block to the chain. And when you're going to else, the value of I is 1. This should might be giving an error. So I think
Okay,
Narasimha sir.
I'm writing actually out of the for loop. That's why
No,
I
no,
think
no,
I'm getting
inside
error.
the for loop, inside the for loop.
Okay, that's why
It
I'm
should,
getting error.
yeah, it should
Okay,
be over here inside the for loop.
okay, sir.
Yeah. So, ma'am, did you write print B over here at the end? Yeah, so it should show you an output. Can you just copy and paste your this part of code for I in range and this part of code you can copy and paste in the chat window, that I can see what error is done over there.
Sir, why no module faker is? Can you repeat, please?
Yeah, so with Collab, there are multiple modules which are already available, like NumPy, uh, data frame, or pandas, or TensorFlow. All that is already installed. But this particular module, Faker, is a language processing module which is not installed with Python by default. So you need to pip install that. So pip is a Python installation program, PIP. You say pip install Faker, it will search for this Faker library inside the PyPy API, and it will give that particular thing to you.
Okay,
Okay.
got it.
So I think I'm just checking Sonal ma'am's code very quickly so that we all are in the same on the same page. I just copy the code over here at the top and see what's the error. So Sonal ma'am, I think this code looks okay. If I remove my code from here, I run your code. I think it shows me print statement at the output. So just check your code is working okay. You're having the print statement in the output. I think it might be taking some time to run, but it should work fine.
Hello, sir. Yeah, actually, I think I kept that pip install command like in the other code and the rest of the code in like other block. Maybe that is why the reason. So I have
No,
combined it. Let us see what happens. It's
that
working at the
that
moment.
is that is okay. Even if you do pip install above this code, it's no problem, because this entire coding that you're writing, it's on the same session. So if you do pip install Faker
Uh-huh.
before and run the code later, it should
Uh-huh.
work.
Okay, so I combined the block, but now I'm getting the output as like requirement already satisfied, and like these are the 4 statements. Those you can see on your end as well, I guess, the first 4 lines. But the rest
Yes.
of the code, I'm unable to see the output.
I think if you can just match the indentations over here, because this was your indentation code, this is the indentation that is required, but that should not be an issue because this is your code only, the code that you have given. I've copied your code from the chat window over here, and I've pasted this code over here on my code.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
just
know
removing
where I'm
everything
putting
and
this.
pasting your code, and it should work fine.
Okay, let me try one more time. I'll text you again if needed. Thank you.
It's working perfectly okay. Just check it out why
Sure,
and just check the number of blocks if they're 100 or not. If
sure.
they're 100, it should work fine.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Jammukeshwar sir. Fika is the dummy creator, which creates a set of dummy names, dummy numbers, and dummy other data. You can also use Faker to create dummy images. So that's a good library that you can use for creating synthetic data. Okay, so if everyone is done with this, just write done on the chat window. Very good. Very good. Next. So I think most of us are now on the same track, as in we know how to create a block. We know how to add the hash to a block. We know how to connect the blocks with the help of previous hash. And based on that, we are also able to get the results. Okay. Now, what we want to do now is we want to add something called as a consensus mechanism. Okay. Now, what is the consensus mechanism? Let's understand that with the help of simple illustration. If this is my blockchain, let's remove this thing from for now. Just make online paint. Yeah. So let's say if this is my blockchain, and this blockchain contains multiple blocks like this: block 1, block 2, block 3, block 4, and so on. Okay. Now, as we know that a blockchain is basically a decentralized data storage, means this entire data will be stored with multiple parties. Okay. So if this data is stored with, say, 3 parties or 3 machines, then all these 3 machines are called as miners. MINERS. Okay, means they can means these machines can actually assist the blockchain to add more blocks as and when required. So if I want to add a new block into the blockchain, I would have to ask the 3 miners, and based on what the 3 miners tell me, if they say yes, then I can add the block. If they say no, I will not be able to add the block. Okay, so that is called as consensus, wherein you ask a set of people or a set of machines if this particular block can be added. If they say yes, then you add the block. If they say no, you don't add the block. So right now we'll be learning something called as a proof of work, or POW consensus. This consensus says that to create a particular blockchain or to create a particular block inside a blockchain, the most important thing is the uniqueness of the hash. That is, the hash value must be unique. Why is that so? Because if the hash values are not unique, then you will not be able to form a chain. You will be not be able to go from one block to the other block unless all the hashes are different. Let me show that to you with the help of a small example as to what will happen if you don't have a unique kind of a hash value. Okay. So I'll just go to the Paint tab once again. And let's understand that this is one block and the hash value is H1. This is another block, block number 2, with the hash value as H2. And this is the another block with a hash value as H3. Okay. So now what blockchain says is all the blocks must have unique hashes. That is why H1 will be stored over here. And with the help of the H1 value, I'll be able to trace the block H2. And H2 will be stored over here. And with the help of this H2, I'll be able to trace the block H3. I think that's clear with every one of us. Now see what will happen is if H1 and H2 become the same, as in if the hash of this block also becomes H1, then what will happen is this H1 will again be stored over here inside the second block or inside the third block, because of which this block will refer to the third block. This block will refer to itself as well. Secondly, H1 will refer to block 2, H1 will refer to block 3 as well. Okay. And this is not a blockchain, it is a block graph. Okay. Wherein you have blocks, they're connected in the form of a graph, which we don't want. So are we clear that we require hash to be unique? Yes or no? Yes. Very good.
Yes, sir.
Perfectly. Okay. So now if that point is clear with all of us, we need to understand that the hash values must be unique for all the blocks. That is the first condition that all consensus mechanisms have to fulfill. Second condition is that all the hashes must follow certain rules. Okay. Now, what are these rules and how these rules are helping us to actually create a real-time blockchain? Okay. So we'll just see one rule today and we'll code that rule inside our chain so that we understand what these rules are. In the case of a proof of work blockchain, one rule can be the initial n values of hash must be 0. Means when you're running the code for your hash thing, as in when you are using your blockchain, you can see that the hash values are starting with anything. They can start with A, they can start with B, they can start with C, depending upon the block. So as you can see, the first hash value is starting with F4. The second hash value is starting with 8B. Third hash value starting with 04 and so on. Okay. But this is something that the proof of work blockchain doesn't want. It wants that the current hash value or the initial n values of hash must be 0. Okay. So to do that, what each of the miners will do is each of the miners will try to create a block and they will add a new value to a block. That new value is called as nonce, N-O-N-C-E. Okay. Now, what this nonce basically indicates, the meaning of nonce is it's a nonsensical number, which doesn't have any sense in terms of the block content. It is a random number which is added such that the hash value is unique and the hash value is able to follow certain rules. Are we clear with that? Yes or no? Okay, Jamukeshwar sir, I'll just repeat that thing once again. So is everyone clear that the hashes must be unique? Yes, that part is clear with everyone. Secondly, the hashes must follow a certain rules. Now, one of the rules is the initial n values of a hash must be 0. So yeah, Pira ma'am, I'm just repeating that once again, Usha ma'am. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that the initial n values of hash must be 0. For example, in the previous blockchain, when I run the code, I'm able to get 100 hashes, and all those hashes have different initial values. So the first hash has an initial value of BB, second one has 1E, third one has AB, and so on. Now, what I want to do is I want to make sure that the first two values of hash should be 0, as in this should not be BB, this should be 00 and something. Okay. Are we clear with that? Yes or no? Yes. So now, if I go to, very good. If I go to a online SHA 256 calculator, and I just click on this particular calculating link, if I just use a source as A, destination as B, amount as, let's say, XY, amount as 500, and date as 1234. So this is the hash value, right? Can I change any of these values inside the block? Yes or no? Can I modify the X value? No, because I cannot modify who gave the amount. I cannot modify to whom the amount was given. I cannot modify the amount itself. And I cannot modify the timestamp. Okay. But what I can do is I can add a random value to this particular block so that the first value of hash should be 0. For example, if I just add a 0 over here, the hash becomes 6B. If I make a 1, hash becomes 35. If I make a 2, hash becomes 1B, and so on. So I'll just keep on adding the hash to the block until I get a 0 at the start. So as you can see, if I add all these to the block and I add 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, I'm getting a 0 at the starting. Are we clear with that? Yes or no? Yes? Very good. So this 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 is not a part of the block. Means it is not a part of the data which is added in the block, but it is something which is added just to make sure that the hash value follows the rules. Okay. Now this 1111 is also called as nonce, or a nonsensical number, which we have to add to the block such that the blockchain will contain or will have the hash value which follows a certain rules. Yes, that is very correct, Jamukeshwar sir. It is the mandate code to append to every block, which you can modify or which you can find randomly, such that the initial values are following a certain set of rules. Okay. Now this particular thing, the n values of hash must be 0. This is also called as the difficulty level of the blockchain. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll start with a simple difficulty level of 2, meaning in the same code, we will add a condition so that all the blocks that are added should have the first two values or the first two hash values as 0, 0. Are we clear with that? Yes or no? Yes. So before doing that, what I want all of us to do is I want us to find out the time required to run this code. It's a very simple thing to do. Just find the delay of this particular code. Before the for loop, write t1 equals to time.time. We are finding the delay of this code. So to find the delay, I'm saying t1 equals to time.time at the starting of the for loop. And at the end of the loop, after the print statement, and press backspace and enter, t2 equals to time.time, which is the end time. And just write d equals to t2 minus t1, which is a delay, and print time needed %f seconds percentage sign D. So just write T2 equals to time dot time, D equals to T2 minus T1, which is the time when this particular loop ended, minus the time when this loop started. The time needed is percentage F, which is the D delay time. If you run the code now, you'll be able to see that without any difficulty added, the blockchain is taking about 0.4311 seconds on my machine. I would request you all to copy this particular time needed and paste on chat window so that I can see what is the time needed for all of your blockchains. If you're done, just write the time required for your blockchain to be added on the chat window and we can move ahead. Very good. Very good. Very good. Very nice. So I think all of us are getting about 0.4 seconds in our time required. So, Sonal ma'am, you have to write T1 equals time dot time before the for loop so that we get the starting time. And then once we complete the loop, we do T2 equals time dot time. Done, everyone?
Sir, is this the time in seconds or milliseconds, sir?
Seconds,
0.48 something?
seconds, always seconds.
Okay, because we have written yes, I mean that represents seconds, but it may be milliseconds as well, right? No.
Actually, when you do time dot time, you get the
Mhm.
number of seconds elapsed since 1st January 1970. So you subtract that and you get the time in seconds only.
Okay.
So I'll just
Okay.
show that to you, sir. Just 1 second. If I just add a code over here, print time dot time, and I say again sleep for a second. I think time dot sleep might be the same function for a second. And I say print time dot time. It will be able to show me a time which is 1 second apart. Got this, sir? 5.6 and 5.7. This is the time which is required in seconds.
Okay, yes, sir.
Yeah. So milliseconds you can also do by multiplying by 1,000, no problem. But this will give you time in seconds only. Okay. So I think with that knowledge, we now know what is the time required to add a block to the blockchain without any difficulty, as in the blocks are having random hashes with no rules at all. Now, what we'll be doing is we'll be adding a rule to it, which will say that the difficulty is 2, as in the first 2 blocks or the first 2 values of the hash should always be 0, 0. Are we clear with that? Yes or no? Yes, are we clear
Yes,
with that?
yes.
Very good. So with that knowledge, what we'll be doing is we'll be adding another field to the block, which is a nonce field, and we'll keep on looping until we get the difficulty level satisfied, as in until we get the hash value to be 0, 0 at the starting. Okay. So let's see how do we do that. First, once we find out the hash value, before that, we will simply say B of nonce equals to random dot random. Okay. We say B nonce is random dot random. And we also say while find hash of B 0 till diff means 0 to 2, If that is not equal to the number of zeros that we are requiring, then you again recreate the nonce with random.random. Okay, just do this code. Don't run the code as of now. Once you are done, just write done and we can move ahead. Go on in. Very good. Very good. If you are done, just we just need to add one statement on the code, wherein at the top we need to just do import random, which will import the random library, and this should work then fine. So if this nonce is clear to everyone, we'll say b nonce random find hash b diff is not equal to 0 into diff b nonce random. Don't print the code as of now. The code will go inside a continuous loop, and you'll not be able to get the output. We need to make some changes at the top of the code to make the code run properly. You got this point right now? We found out a random value for nonce, and if we do the find hash function, and based on this particular find hash function for the block, if the first n characters are not equal to the number of zeros, then we again find the hash value, and then we again get the random value for nonce, and the loop keeps on continuing. If the loop ends, that means the find hash function is now able to get initial n values as 00 or 0 zeros, and then we again find the hash value and store inside the b hash, and we say print b. Are we clear with that? Yes or no?
Here, before while loop, why we have taken, means defined that p nulls again, means if we are defining it
Why do
inside
you
the
repeat?
loop.
That's a very good question. If you don't define nonce over here, for example, then if you do find hash of b, the find hash function will not be able to find the initial nonce value. As in, the find hash function will not be able to find the nonce value at all. That is why you first need to initialize the nonce value.
Because outside it is computing nonce value, means it is just generating a random value. So
Yes.
that value is not using inside the while condition. Then what is the use of that line? That is my question.
Are you referring to this line?
Yeah, outside.
Yeah. So if we don't write this particular line as of yet, and we do find hash of b, okay, so does at this particular point during the first run, will the block b have a nonce value? Yes or no? No.
No.
So if it doesn't have a nonce value,
Okay.
then when we call that function, the nonce will give an error. That is why we
Got
need
it.
to initialize the nonce value over here.
Got it.
Yeah.
That means in the block at the first iteration itself, so it considers the random nonce value.
Correct. Very correct. For every block. Okay. If it's done till now, just write done on chat window and we can move ahead. Don't run the code as of now. The code will not work as required. Because we need to do some changes over here. Very good.
So then in the while loop, it is finding a hash value of b. So which is doing as like b of hash at the means to the next line.
Correct.
And once if the while loop is satisfied, it will come out of the loop.
Yes.
Means fails.
Yes.
If it is equal to 0 at the beginning, so it will come
Yes.
out of the loop. Again, it will find the hash value. value?
Yes. So if you want, we can store this hash value somewhere and then use that hash value over here. Both are the same things.
No, sir. Actually, my question is if required hash value is which is starting with 0 is finding in the while loop. So why
Yes.
we are computing outside again the hash value?
So see, if we don't do it, then we have to do this. H equals to find hash of B, right?
No, not
Mm,
that one. I understood. Huh? He
H. And then, sorry, and then we have to again do H equals to find hash H. So that will increase the number of lines of code.
got it.
Got the point? Yeah. You can always optimize the code as per your requirement. But for the sake of this session, we are trying to optimize the runtime or the time for the code.
Okay, got it.
That's okay, no problem. So Sonal ma'am, if the code is done and it's giving you random not defined, that's not a problem. Just go at the top and do import random. But don't run the code as of now because the code has a small addition to it. If till now everything is clear, uh, just see what we have done. We have created the previous hash. We have made the previous hash over here. We have added source, destination, amount, TS. We've added a nonce value and we're finding the hash. But just look at the code of finding the hash. Are we using the nonce value over here? Yes or no?
No.
Right? We're not using the nonce value over here. So we need to write inside the find hash value, bstr equals to bstr plus str of b nonce. So that will make sure that the nonce value is added inside the block string. And based on this value, now you will be able to add new blocks with varying range of difficulty. Okay. So I think that part is clear to you now. We are doing bstr plus str of b nonce. That will add the nonce value of the block to the bstr, which will then be used to find out the hash value as we did over here. We added the x, y, 500, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we added the nonce to the block string. That is how we were able to get the first value as 0. Similarly, when we do it over here, we'll be able to add the nonce to the end of the block, and this will help us to get the blockchain working fine. If you run the code now, it should work fine. It will take some time for each block to be added, and the time needed on my machine is about 0.57 seconds. Just see what time you are getting on your machines, and then I'll tell you. That's okay, Sonal ma'am. I'll do a small thing. I'll just share this entire code with you so that you can simply copy it from there and paste it on your machine. It will help everyone to be on the same track for the code.
Ashwin sir,
Yes.
actually it was my connection was disconnected when you explained about nonce value. See, even
Okay.
we without nonce also we'll get a unique hash, right, for every block.
Yes, that's very correct.
Yeah, then what is the need actually that nonce? Actually, my connection was disconnected by that time when you
That's
explained.
perfectly okay. So you got the point that with the help of a non without the nonce value, we are getting unique hashes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But if I want the hash to follow a certain level of rules, as in if I
Okay.
want that inside every block, whatever hash is added, that hash should contain the first n values as 0. Okay.
Okay.
So that is a
Okay.
hash rule. So to do that, we cannot modify, this was the example that I took. We cannot modify the value of source. We cannot modify
Correct.
the value of destination. We cannot
Correct.
modify the value of amount. We cannot modify the value of timestamp. What we can do is we can add a random value to the blockchain or to the block that will make sure that the initial value of the block hash is following our rules.
Okay.
You got the point?
Okay, sir. To satisfy that condition, we are adding nonce.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Okay.
So I think I have also pasted the code over here from my machine. please copy that code into your Colab and just run the code once and just tell me for difficulty level of 2, as we can see when we are running the code now, we are getting all the blocks with the hash values as 0, 0 at the start, 00D, 00D, 006, and so on. And the time required for this is about 0.577 seconds on my machine. Just tell me what time is needed on your machine so that we can understand how we can how POW works. So I think the time needed on Narasimha sir's machine was about 0.66. On Harish machine was 0.58. On Jambulkar sir's machine was 0.58. Aditya 0.59. And Vijay ma'am 0.78. So I think we are getting approximately 0.5 to 0.7 time. I'll just do one more thing. I'll just make the difficulty level from 2 to 3. Okay. Everyone made difficulty level from 2 to 3 and run the code once again. The code will work perfectly okay. And just copy the time required from your machines to the chat window. The time required in my case is 2.6 seconds approximately. Very good. Narasimha sir is getting 3.2 seconds and so on. Very nice. So about 3 seconds, 2.5 seconds, 2.8 seconds, you're getting the time. Okay. Now just make the difficulty level as 4 and run the code and see what time you're getting. Let me just create a simple notepad and just copy some values over here that you have sent to me on the difficulty level of 2. I just copy the values. 0.57 was my time, and then 0.66 was Narasimha sir's time. 0.587 was Harish time. 0.58 was Jamukeshwar sir's time. 0.59 was Aditya sir's time. And 0.788 was Vijaya ma'am's time. And then we did difficulty level of 3, when I got as 2.6 seconds. Narasimha sir got 3.22 seconds. And Jamukeshwar sir 3.01 seconds. Harish got 2.58. And Aditya sir got 2.86 for Aditya sir. That's very good. And yeah. So I think we are now able to get the results for difficulty level of 4 as well. So I'll just write these things down. My delay required for 100 blocks was about 39.25. 39.25. Jamukeshwar sir 34.71. Harish got 38.06. Then Aditya sir got 37, 35. 37 was for Aditya sir, and 35 was for Vivek sir, and that's okay. So Sonal, to your error that I have given, you should be able to get the output. So let's understand how the time is changing. The time from 0.57 seconds to 2.6 seconds. That is an exponential increase of approximately level 3 to difficulty level 4 the time has approximately 20 times the time difference. Okay. Now, if you have time with you at home, just make the difficulty that will again shoot up to about 1,000 seconds or something. So now, just understand, if I am getting a time required of 39 seconds to add 100 blocks, that is 0.39 seconds per block, then this is only for difficulty level 4. If I add the difficulty level much further, the time required will increase exponentially. That is why whenever you create or add a new transaction into a blockchain, the time required for that transaction is very, very high. The current and the most common blockchain that we know is Bitcoin. Just write Bitcoin time needed to mine block, and you'll be able to see that it is approximately 10 minutes. Can you see it on the machine? That means to create a new block via on the Bitcoin network, you require approximately 10 minutes to find the hash value. So just understand this. If you're creating one transaction and one transaction is requiring approximately 10 minutes, you'll not be able to use that transaction in a real-time manner. That is why people are trying to reduce this time on the Bitcoin network. And how it is reduced, there are multiple ways to do it, using side chaining, using slicing, using a lot of other things. But for now, understand that as you increase the level of complexity, or as you increase the number of level of difficulty, you are able to get a higher amount of time, exponentially high amount of time to mine the blocks. Okay. Is that clear with us? Yes or no? Yeah. So now, as I told you, that we will be learning about proof of work. So as we can see, for difficulty level of 2, the time of my machine was the lowest. Okay. So what will proof of work says? Select the hash created by the host machine or my machine. And when we did difficulty level 3, the lowest time was of Harish machine. So POW will say use the hash which was created by the Harish machine. And for the difficulty level 4, the lowest time that was required was for Jamukeshwar sir. So what the POW will say, that use the blockchain or use the block hash value or the nonce value which was created by Jamukeshwar sir. Are we clear with that? Yes or no? Perfect. So with that knowledge, you can now create any of your own blockchains. You can add difficulties to the blockchain, and based on those difficulties, you can find out the time required for you to add a block to the chain. Okay, so that is all for today's session. We are now open to questions, if any. And if you want to connect with me personally, I'll just share my details on the chat window. You can give me a call or send me a message on WhatsApp, and we can connect further to
Sir,
solve
one question, sir.
your
One
query.
question. You just said about difficulty level 2 and difficulty level 3, 4, right? And
Yes.
when you go to difficulty level 3, you said the least transaction amount, let's say Harish, I think you mentioned,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
That has to be used as a proof of work, and you need to mine. Can you show that in the execution, sir?
Yeah. So for that, what I need to do is I need to create a network of people. As in, this particular code that I am showing you is on my machine only. If you want to showcase that in a real-time environment, I need to create a miner node or the aggregator node, which will read all the details from all the miners, and it will select the miner with the fastest nonce value. That's not possible to show over here on a single collab machine, but you got the concept, right? How it works.
Yes, sir. I got the concept. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Jamukeshwar sir, you're asking on what basis the rules of difficulty will decide. So if as a blockchain owner, let's say I want to make sure that the blocks are not mined very, very quickly. or people are not able to mine the blocks in a very fast manner. So I'll increase the difficulty level. It is just to create a sense of urgency on the blockchain, wherein the entire miner network should not be able to mine so many blocks so quickly, so that no other miner is rewarded with new blocks. Okay, so that is why we keep the difficulty level as optimal as possible. It should not be such that the um, blocks are not getting mined for say tens of days, and it should not be that the block is being mined every single minute. It should be a balance between the same. That is why we are using a difficulty level of 4 or 5 or 6, depending upon the application.
So excuse me, can you give any other example of rule other than appending zeros?
Yeah. So other than appending zeros, there are certain characters in the hash value. As in, if I want to have a signature, as in I want to make sure that the hash value has two A's, two B's, and two C's. That's also one rule. The rules are always gathered around the hash signature.
That means rules are particularly user defined.
User defined, yes. The not user defined, defined by the blockchain administrator.
That means user requirement, like I want two B's, two A's, means
So say
anything like that.
if you are the blockchain admin, then you can decide the rules, but
That's what.
users
Okay.
cannot define it. Only you can define as the administrator.
That is my question. You admin can decide the rule. Okay.
Yes, correct. But once you have kept the rule, you cannot modify it, because if today you say I want AABBCC at the start of the blockchain, and tomorrow you want it at the end of the hash, so you might need to modify all the blocks in the blockchain. Got the
Got
point?
it. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
That's good, Sonal ma'am, that you found the error. Yes, if you have any other question, please ask.
Participants, do you have any questions? Radhika ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
conclude the session then.
Yes, ma'am. I extend our sincere thanks to Mr. Ashwin Balani. Sir, your valuable expertise and hands-on session on create a block, add block to chain, adding hashes to the block, proof of work with practical examples have not only enhanced our knowledge but also inspired us to explore these cutting-edge technologies further. Thank you for sharing your time and wisdom with us today, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
Bani sir. Thank you for the
you.
nice session, and every participant has enjoyed the session, practicals, hands-on session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Just like responding to the query asked by
Yeah,
Jammukeshwar
yeah,
sir.
yeah. Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
I know not Jammukeshwar sir. I think someone asked about what library we can use apart from Faker. Yeah, Larita ma'am. So there are two more libraries. There are the Factory Boy and a Mimesis library. I am just sending those library details on the chat window. You can copy it from there and you can use it later. No problem. Okay, so thank you everyone for the nice participation. Hope to see you next time. Thank you. Have a good evening ahead.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I request Swati ma'am to continue next session. Over to you, Swati ma'am.
Yes, thank you, Radhika. Shall we start?
As Joshi sir has joined,
Uh,
just check it
mm,
out.
I think no, ma'am. Okay, we will go.
Yes, he has joined.
Okay, start then.
Joshi sir is there.
Joshi sir has joined. Hello. Swati ma'am.
I think no, madam. Joshi sir is not there in the meet.
Hello.
Yes, madam.
He's on call with client, some other client. So he will
Okay.
join at 7:45 as the
Okay,
message that's received from Rich Racer.
okay,
Okay,
madam.
just
We'll
wait for
wait for 3
3
minutes.
minutes. We'll start it.
Yes, sure, madam. Sure.
Good evening, all. I'll be updating your attendance on the portal very soon, and every participant need to appear for the feedback, need to give the feedback and appear for the quiz tomorrow. And the tomorrow's session will be from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. So kindly take a note of it, all of you. Thank you. Yes, because there is a validity function is going to be there. Then feedback is there, and some of the participants keep ready to speak, giving the feedback online, so that we can record those feedback and send it to the ATAL FDP. So that's why the quiz is going to be there. Then the validity function is there, and there are three sessions are there. So that's why it will be from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Ma'am, I have another question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ma'am, I can see the attendance of 2nd and 3rd December on ATAL.
Yeah, ma'am, we are adding it, but the portal is giving us a problem. From yesterday, we have started the things. Yesterday
Mhm.
also there was problem. Today also, so we have added one day attendance, second day attendance. Some of the attendance has been added, and again it is giving a problem. So we have been in contact with an ATAL portal people. So we are going to update it. Don't worry about it.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello everyone. Good evening. Apologies for being delayed.
Joshi sir had joined.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. Okay, sir. Swati ma'am.
Yes, madam. It is with great honor and immense pleasure speaker for today's session, Mr. Surendra Joshi, Senior Information Security Specialist at Dhruva Data Solution Private Limited, Pune. Mr. Joshi is distinguished professional with extensive experience in network security and a profound understanding of emerging technologies. He has hands-on experience on external penetration testing,
and possesses a strong command of manual network and web application testing. His invaluable contributions have played a pivotal role in enhancing the security and resilience of systems in today's even ever evolving digital landscape. In his session titled Tools and Techniques in Cybersecurity, Mr. Joshi will share valuable insight into cutting edge methodology, advanced technology, and best practices shaping the future of cybersecurity. Sir, on behalf of everyone here, I extend a warm welcome to you and kindly invite you to begin your session. We are eagerly looking forward to gaining knowledge from your expertise. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thanks for the brief introduction about me. I really appreciate your help and support, and I think we are meeting second time for this lecture series.
Yes,
So I'm very grateful that for getting the chance to talk with this fantastic people.
yes.
Just give me a sec. I'll just share my screen.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. I hope you guys can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in today's lecture, we are going to discuss on the tools and techniques in cybersecurity. So, I mean, cybersecurity itself is a very broader term, I would say, because in the cybersecurity, not just the penetration testing. So, penetration testing is just like the foundation, or in the layman term, most of the people might have heard like ethical hacking or something like that, right? But in the corporate world, we usually referred it as a penetration testing. So it's like a foundation in a cybersecurity. Okay, and in today's lecture, we are going to discuss basically what exactly the penetration testing is. Okay, and what kind of approach, tools, techniques are usually referred by the penetration tester. So, ma'am gave a very brief introduction about me. So, I'll just tell you in just two three liners like. I used to work as a penetration tester, and still I work that kind of thing, even though I'm a senior person in a company now. But in day-to-day life, we handle so many pen testing projects, audits, whatnot. So I'm one of the lead, and I have worked with many public and private sector bank as a penetration tester in my past engagements. So. So basically, what kind of tools and techniques are used that we will see in today's lecture. Okay. So we will also see the demos as well.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Sorry. Yeah.
This is it will be better if you tell how these tools are to be used practically. If it is going to be taken, it will be more fruitful to the participants as you are a certified person. We'll
Exactly.
be
So that.
delighted to have that.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. That will give
Yes. Thank you.
some sort of foundation. Basically, how exactly a penetration test and then we'll see the real-time demos of what tools are getting used. So until and unless I'll not build a foundation for this kind of scenarios, so the people won't get exactly how exactly the penetration tester work. I will also show you the and everything. So the reason is I'm also working in I'm also working in a professional. So identification. So mostly used by the around the globe. We'll see how exactly and how this operating system and different kinds of tools are used. What are the different kinds of tools are used? What are the different kinds of tools are used? So before that, let me tell you this basics. You won't understand anything on the penetration test. So about the pen testing, so our previous session only we have discussed what exactly the vulnerability is. So it's clear advantage of that. The adversary will exploit that vulnerability to compromise that particular target. Okay. Okay, you can see my screen, right? Yeah, perfect. So this is basically the virtualization environment. As you can see, it's a VMware workstation. So recently, VMware has publicly released the freeware version of the VMware workstation. So you can download that. I'll share the link with you at the end of this lecture. So you can download the VMware version of the Kali Linux operating system from the link that I'll also share with you at the end of the lecture. Okay, at the default credential for this is Kali, username Kali and password Kali. Okay, so let's talk about the its tooling. Uh, just a minute. Yeah, you can clearly see my screen, right? Okay, perfect. That's great. Okay, so here are the different types of tools in the operating system. Information gathering tools. Uh, there are n number of tools are listed over here. So what exactly the information gathering, right? So if I want to gather any information about the target before exploiting or crafting the payloads or different types of attack, so as I have to spend as much of time I can spend to gather information, because in the penetration testing or any targeted exploitation, information gathering is a very important phase, because until and unless you can't gather information about the target, you can't craft your attack. See, so there is a say in a metasploitable book. Uh, if you have a 10 hours to chop the tree, so you should spend at least 6 hours to sharpen your knife, right? So this is what it does. Like, you have to spend as much as time you can to gather information. So in the information gathering, depending on your what type of a target you are targeting, for example, it's a web application, it's a web server, it's a network. So on that basis, information gathering is done. So I'll tell you, these are many tools are there. So among this, we will see some of the tools practically. So Nmap is used for the network mapping. Okay, so if you have any IP address and you want to gather the information about what exactly the ports are open, right? So in every system there are logical ports, 65535 total logical ports are there, and among that 1024 are the default ports. Okay, so if you want to gather like what kind of services are running on that particular port, so you have to run the scan on that system. So this is the Nmap tool. It has a two version. It's a graphical user interface as well. The name it as a Zenmap. So in the last lecture we saw a demo of how exactly Zenmap looks like, and we did a scan on one of the application. Okay, and this is the command line tool. I usually prefer to run the command line tool, because in terms of usage and in terms of feasibility, I prefer the command line interface of this particular Nmap tool. So Nmap tool is used for the information gathering and vulnerability analysis as well. So how exactly work for the vulnerability assessment? So it has some default script, and the basically this you can write your own script as well in the Lua language. So this particular Nmap tool supports a Lua language, and you can write your own script uh, just by writing some of the code. Okay, so how exactly this particular tool work, right? So these are the flags. For example, this is the target. So this is the basically different types of mention, how to mention the tool. You can, if you ever want to run the single scan IP, you can write the IP address. If you note the subnet mask or a list of IP address, so you can specify accordingly. Like for IL, it is used for the to define the list of IP address into the text file. And if you want to randomize the IP addresses, exclude some hosts, so these are the flags. For host discovery, there are different kinds of scan techniques, then port specifications. There are different types of ports you can specify. If you don't specify the port number, so it will scan by default 1024 ports number. Okay, service and version detection. If you want to understand what exactly the service and version of that particular port or that particular service, so -sv is the option. Script scans, like I said, if you want to run the default script scan, like for for example, FTP port is open and you want to run the what exactly the vulnerability or any misconfiguration is present or not, so you can run the -sc option. So let's see a demo of it. Just give me a sec. Let me grab a demo for you. So basically, we will run the scan here. Okay, so give me a sec. Okay, so nmap to write with the sudo ss is a synchronization scan for -ss, -sv for version detection, -sc for default script, -n for no DNS resolution, -open to I'm only interested into the open ports. Okay, and I will specify only single port, that is FTP, comma 80, comma 8080. Okay, and let me grab the IP address. Just getting the okay. So this is the public IP address. Let's wait for the result.
Sir, your VM connects public network now.
So actually, this is sorry, pardon.
Now your virtual machine is connected to public network through your Wi-Fi router.
Yes, correct. So actually, my Kali Linux machine is into the bridge mode. Okay, so it's not in a NAT. You can put the in a NAT as well. That is not a problem. So what I did, I just provided the internet connection to this virtual machine, and this is one of the demo server I have that I have created for the demo purpose. And so as you can see here, this is actually a vulnerable service, as you can see. So and I did the scan on only particular ports. Okay, and this is for a demo purpose, like I said. Uh, so this is the complete scan result for a time being. Okay, so 21 is the port number. It is open because the service is running, that is VSFTPD 2.0.8. Okay, it has a two vulnerabilities actually. The older version of VSFTPD and anonymous FTP is allowed. Okay, and as we specified the ports, so on that basis is gave us the result. Okay, so I have specifically mentioned three. Sorry, anyone has any query?
Sir, how you have connected your VM to internet through the your laptop Wi-Fi, or you have additional Wi-Fi?
No, there is a no laptop only. So whatever internet my laptop is getting, so same internet is accessed by this virtual machine as well. So consider the virtualization is just like running a movie into the any VLC media player. So virtualization is it's a one of its kind of a technology which is used. So basically this virtual machine is taking all the resources from your laptop only, your system only. So whatever it's a LAN or a Wi-Fi, so same kind of resources it needs, computing power or a RAM, so everything is taken from your host machines. Okay, so whatever it's a LAN or a Wi-Fi, so same kind of resources will be shared by the virtual machine as well.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Got it? So it's very easy to configure. So if the time permits, I'll let you know how to configure that. Just like it's a exe file of the just import it and run the operating system. That's it. So that I'll show you how to do it. Okay. So this is a nmap scan. Okay. So what we did, we gather information to compromise, uncover the vulnerabilities. So we did the scan on very particular ports. So we got the result on only these 2 3 ports. Reason being is we have specifically asked to run the scan on these 3 ports: 21, 80, and 8080. So we got the result for 21 and 80. So 8080 is not up because service must not be running on that side. So that's why we didn't get the result for 8080. Okay. And what kind of information we got? So what we have specified: -sv service version detection, yes, we got it. -sc default script, yes, we got the result on the anonymous login because it run the script on vsftpd port, sorry, a 21 port, to understand what exact possible vulnerability may exist. So it gave the result on ftp anonymous ftp login is allowed. Along with that, it also gave us the result like what kind of permissions are there: read, write, execute. All these 3 types of permissions are uh, present over here. Okay. It also gave the information about the port 80, right? What kind of service it is running. So that information is given. http is the service. Apache httpd is the service version. Okay. So with this tool, okay, thanks. So this is what we did: the information gathering, vulnerability assessment with this tool. So this tool is specifically used for the network mapping related activities. Okay. Uh, cool. Any specific query on this side? Okay, I'll take this as a no. So let's move to the next tool. So in the information gathering, we'll see other tool as a Nikto. So Nikto is a web server vulnerability scanner. Okay. So we'll run the web server vulnerability scanner. So first of all, I'll tell you the this is basically the usage, the list to understand what exactly this Nikto does. So Nikto tool is just used to basically scan. It's basically a scanner. It's a information gathering tool along with the vulnerability scanner as well. It is specifically used for the web server. It's a web server vulnerability scanner. Okay. So what kind of capabilities, what kind of capabilities it has? What kind of so that we will see first in 2 minutes. So this tool has a very great functionality. So as you can see, in terms of specification, or in terms of what kind of a capability it has. So encoding techniques, then the how you want to display the outputs, then evasion techniques. Okay, different types of format in terms to get the output or to get the results. Okay, so these are the options. In terms of vulnerabilities, it does a lot more things like getting understanding on the SSL certificate sites, getting the scanning on specific kind of vulnerabilities, as you can see here, like SQL file upload, whatnot. So depending on the your requirement, you can specify these flags. So we will run the simple nicto scanning on the target 1H. So as you can see, it is running the scan. So in this way, you can run the scan. You can specify for just a simple normal scan. The option is -h, that is for host, and you can specify the host, and you can run the scan. So as per requirement, you can increase the verbosity depending on like what kind of scan or any particular scan you want to run. So you can go through this tool. There is one command to understand the tool in a deep. So that goes with almost all kind of a tool. There is one command man. It stands for manual. Man space map. Okay, so this is like if you want any tool, so you can write a command man space the name of the tool, that is stands for manual. Okay, so this is what the tool for information gathering and vulnerability assessment of a web server. Okay, any particular query on this side? Okay, I'll take this any question you can ask me. She's asking like, if the firewall is on, then this utility will work. Yes, definitely. So if you are talking about the nmap scan, yes, there is a feature in nmap. uh, in the nmap, okay, I'll just show you firewall evasion in the mm, yes. So this is for the firewall evasion in nmap. Even if the firewall is on, you can bypass the firewall. So in 2 3 ways, you can run the fragmented scan. You need to specify the MTU, that is maximum transfer unit. On that, after that, you can bypass the firewall. There is another way as well. That is a scanning technique. There are T1, T2, T3, and T4 scanning techniques. So uh, T4 is very verbose scan. So basically, if you'll do the T4 scan, immediately firewall will block your traffic and block your IP address. You can do a T2 scan. Sorry. You can do the T2 scan. So T2 scan, basically what it does, the way the normal traffic travels from client to server. So in that normal traffic, nmap will append some packets of information gathering, and it will get the information. It's a less noisy, it's very stealthy, and but it takes time to complete the scan. So if you have a time and if you have a very dedicated target, yes, you can run the T2 scan. Then comes the this is fragment scan, then the decoys. So what exactly the decoy means? So you have to create a different decoys that you can use the proxy chain. There is one tool, proxy chain. So you can use that and specify the live IP addresses and do the scan from multiple IP addresses, so that firewall won't understand from which IP address the traffic is coming. Okay, or what you can do is there are some sites like samairsox4.com. So from there you can pick up the public IP addresses, proxies basically, and you can use those IPs to proxy chain. You can also use the Tor network, but it is very noisy, and most of the time these are getting blocked because nowadays the firewalls are a bit smart, so they can easily hunt down for this Tor network and all. Okay. So these are the, you can spoof the MAC, you can mention the TTL, that is time to live for a packet. So these are the options. Most of the well-known option I told you, that is fragmented and use of a decoys, use of a proxy chain, changing the MAC address multiple times, and T2 scan. Okay, so this is how you can bypass the firewall, and you will definitely get the result out of this, because I have tried this in my past engagement on very secured servers, and definitely I got the result, and still I get those results. But only thing is that you need is a patience. Resources from where I can get the public IPs. Yes, SOCKS4, SOCKS4, SOCKS5, or Samair.com, SAMAIR. Okay, cool. Any other queries specific to this, or uh, we this particular scanning tool, Nikto? So I'll just state the name, SOCKS, SOCKS4, SOCKS5. Okay, so for here you can do that. Uh, okay, so this is regarding the information gathering tools. Okay, there are some OSINT tool, that is open source intelligence analysis. Okay, there are multiple tools to gather the information about open source intelligence. So I'll tell you the name. Mm, Census is a one tool, SENSYS. So you can create an account and hunt for the IP address and host. There is a one more tool, just forget the name of it. Uh, Let me just get it. Mm, Shodan. Yeah. Shodan is another tool. It is used for the information gathering. So I can just quickly show you the demo here of a census. So this is used to hunt the target. Basically, this tool is used by the external attack surface management. Okay, so what exactly that means? So as in a company, if I mean, suppose I'm working in my particular organization, so I want to see how exactly my company looks from the attacker perspective. External attack surface management. For that particular thing, this particular tool is used. Okay. Suppose I want to see any company detail, Infosys, for example. So, so these many assets this particular company has in terms of host. They have a cloud infrastructure. Okay, so in what locations uh, and in which areas, what kind of a technology that they are using. So everything is present over here. So their infra is very widely spread. So as you can see here, so you can gather information about any target. Okay, considering like any information, right? This is the tool which is used for the information gathering on the target side. That is for open source intelligence analysis, OSINT tools. Okay, so Multigo is used for yes. Alok Chauhan has a query. Please, yeah, Alok, please tell me. Alok, you have a specific question. Is the screen visible now?
Yes, sir. Screen is visible. Your screen is visible.
Okay, cool. I think someone just raised the hand. Is there any query? Okay. Okay, cool. No worries. no problem. So let's get so you can use census. You can just create the account, free account over here, and you can run some queries to understand. It has a query structure as well. So you have to you can get this getting started page, and you can learn all about this particular tool, how to use it, and how to craft the queries. You just need to ask this proper query over here, then you will definitely get the result. There is a similar tool like it's like a Shodan. There also you can create a free account and you use some queries to hunt the result. Okay. Information gathering. Yeah. So Multigo, I was talking about the Multigo. So Multigo tool is used for information gathering from the social networking sites. Okay. So basically, it connects the dot and give you the proper information about the target. Suppose you want to crawl any information about any particular company like TCS, any target. So you can use particular tool to correlate the information from different types of search engines. Like Google is a search engine, then DuckDuckGo is there. From China, there is a Baidu. So from the different search engines, it collect the data and it will give it to you. It takes little time to configure, so I will skip that tool from a demo side. Okay. Recon NG is similar of it. It's for information gathering tool. Uh, mm, what else? So these are some of its kind of a tools. There are some new tools as well that you can try it on your own if you want to solve. But usually, I mean, like I said, we don't use all the tools all the time during engagement as well. Reason being is like depend on the requirement, you have to select the tool. Okay, it's not necessary like every tool you should use. Okay. So this is about the, I mean, like let's SMB analysis. SMB analysis you can do using Nmap as well. So all this kind of information I can do at single shot with the Nmap only. So this is my like a favorite tool. So that I'll go with that tool only. So this is information gathering. Now vulnerability analysis. Yeah. So there are some tools on a vulnerability analysis side. Nikto we have seen, Nmap we have seen, Unix privilege escalation check. This is one tool. So what exactly that means? Okay. So first of all, let's see what exactly the vulnerability analysis. We gather information about the target. Okay. Now the next phase is depending on the information that we gathered. Now we have to do the vulnerability analysis. So like we see in the demo, using Nmap only. Let me go to the tab. So from the running the Nmaps con only, so we did the information gathering. We gather the information about the target, like what exact port and service is vulnerable, right? So we found the FTP port, which is vulnerable to two things. That is outdated version, VSFTPD 2 point something was the version, and yeah, here is the result. So VSFTPD 2.0.8. So there might be some vulnerability, and anonymous FTP login is allowed. So this is what the vulnerability. Okay, we gather information and we also did the vulnerability analysis. So we found what exactly the vulnerability in the port. Okay, and this is what we did: vulnerability information gathering and vulnerability analysis. Okay, we just saw the Nikto. Okay, how exactly the web server is vulnerable. So that scan is still going on. Then comes the fuzzing tools. Okay. Fuzzing we'll see little bit later. So let me tell you the privilege escalation check. So when any kind of attack happens, okay. So when any attacker get a hold on a system, I mean, you might have heard like any laptop or any system got compromised. So what exactly the attacker does? So basically after getting the initial access, suppose via phishing, I downloaded the malware on any victim's laptop. And after downloading the malware, so my first intention would be to escalate the privilege from whatever the user level permission that user has. That may be guest user, that may be admin user, or any different very restrictive kind of a user, right? So first of all, my malware and I will try to understand what kind of a privileges are present over that system. Okay, so once I'll get a hold on the privilege side, then I will try to understand what kind of a operating system it has. It's a Linux, it's a Windows, or a Mac. So considering the operating system is a Windows, sorry, Linux. Okay, I will go for the privilege escalation. So what is privilege escalation? I will try to escalate my privilege from lower user to higher user. If I have a credential access as a admin user, I will try to escalate the privilege from admin to system. So what exactly the difference between system user and admin? Admin has a password and system user has a system user don't need a password. So as a system process, I can escalate the privilege at any time, or I can do any activity. I don't need to get the prompt. Okay, I don't need to enter the password. Okay, that is the difference. System user, once you escalate the privilege from admin to system, system is like a god mode. Okay, the system user can do anything. The system user doesn't require any kind of a permission to do any kind of activity in the system. So that's why the attackers are always interested in to escalate the privilege from normal user to the system user or a root user. So in Linux case, it comes to the root user. Okay, so this is about the privilege escalation check. Okay, you can also here is a website, so you can also check the tooling from here as well. So what exactly that? Let me just show you. Yeah. So basically, at the time of gathering, at the time of doing the privilege escalation, uh, you have to gather information about the system, like what kind of uh, misconfigurations are present. So let me just straight away we'll go to the Google and I'll show you. Uh, so there are multiple scripts are also present on the internet, on GitHub, on this particular tool. So you can manually do it, or you can run the script as well. So as you can see, uh, this is the script you can execute. LINPEAS, privilege escalation checklist. Okay, so what kind of things are used on that side at the time of like system information gathering? Like I said, when the attacker get a hold on a system, so he try to understand like what exactly the system is, like operating system understanding, then variables, what kind of a sensitive details, different types of scripts, then versions, outdated or vulnerable applications, right? Drivers, installed softwares. So these are basically commands you can run, and the attacker will run on either on a PowerShell or either on the CMD prompt on a terminal, depending on the operating system. Okay. So these are basically the checks. So install software. So why it is important to understand the install software? So install software has a vulnerability in terms of like outdated, or there is a issue with the registry configuration. Like when any new software get installed in the operating system, so it creates a registry entry in considering if it is a Windows operating system, right? So there you can find some vulnerabilities. Then process, is there any vulnerable process running with different type of a privilege? The attackers are more interested into the process which are running with the admin and system privilege. So just by exploiting that, the attacker can get a hold on the system, the laptop or operating system with system privilege. Okay, scheduled demos on cron jobs. So most of the times, what happens in servers or in the any demo servers or any kind of a build servers, cron jobs or scheduled jobs are written. So usually attacker take an advantage of that to run the malware into the system. So usually these kind of things are take advantages taken by the attacker. So mostly in the corporate world, so many tools are running in the systems, whatnot, right? So attacker try to take advantage of those cron jobs to exploit the vulnerability and get a hold of the operating systems. Then services, what kind of services are installed? So these are the you can take a look at if you really want to get the understanding like how exactly the privilege escalation happens. So this is like the information gathering phase on the privilege escalation. Okay. Vulnerability analysis done. Web application analysis. Yeah, there are some tools. There are some manual tools. There are some automated tools that is used for the web application analysis, exploitation, all these things combining. So Burp Suite is a tool which is used for the manual web application exploitation and analysis. Okay, so this tool is widely used by the security researchers, architect, penetration tester, whatnot. So basically what we do, this tool is used as an interceptor. So let's see the demo. Okay, I think it is out that I'll open my community version. Sorry, enterprise version of a Burp Suite. Just give me a minute. So I'll show you the professional version of a Burp Suite because since there is a problem with the community version. Yeah, so tool is up. Next. So this is the professional version of a Burp Suite. Yeah. Okay, so this is basically the professional version of the Burp Suite. So this tool is used for the interception. Okay, to analyze how exactly the web application works, what all the entry points are there. Okay, so this is the proxy and this is the browser. So how exactly it works, let me just explain you. So browser is getting started. So this tool is like the MITM, man in the middle. So this is the terminology is used. So when we do the pen testing on any web application, so we usually use this tool to intercept the traffic. Okay. If we'll give the example like any web application. mm, Okay, so if you want to do the intercept the request, okay, between client and server. So And I just want to understand like what are the parameters, what are the entry points in the web application. So you can see the browser, right? Okay. So basically what I'm doing, I'm just sharing the screen. There is a one browser. Okay. So in the browser, I have open one link to intercept the request. So I'll just browse the web application now. Okay. So as you can see here, I intercepted the request. So it's a GET request. Okay. It is going to the server, but the tool is sitting in between the browser, that is a client, and the server. So I intercepted this request. Okay. And I just want to understand like what all the entry points. So basically this is the request header and this is request body. So if I intercept the login page, then the username password parameter will get over here. Okay. And this way I can intercept the request between client and server, and I can do the modifications. Okay. For example, I just want to change some parameter and understand what exactly the response comes from the server. So let's see how it can happen. So there is an option of a repeater in the tool. So what I can do is I can do the manipulations over here, and I can see the response like what exactly things can happen. So there is one simple attack I will execute here, that is host header manipulation. So if I'll change the host to any unknown name, so what kind of a response I get, whether the server will accept that host. So let's see. So I'll just try example.com. So let's see how what it does. So it is a throwing an error. Okay, the server is not accepting it. uh, okay, so this is how we do the testing. Okay, just by changing the parameters, what kind of response we are getting, right? So these are the different request headers, and there are some, if there is a entry fields, so we also get the details on, depending on the request, we also get the data on request body as well. Okay. Yeah, so there are different options in the tool, like intruder, repeater, collaborator, sequencer, decoder. So what exactly these things used for? So for different requirements, on the basis of requirement, we use different types of features. So intruder is used for any kind of a brute force related attack, like if I'm testing any OTP feature. So for that part, this is one case study I'm just telling you. Like for OTP testing, we use this particular intruder, like old OTP is using, or can we brute force the OTP. If you want to understand like what is the number of OTP, like a 3 digit, 4 digit, 6 digit, what kind of OTP is getting used. So all these things we test using this intruder. Okay. Repeater, like I said, like we repeat the request to understand what kind of a response we are getting. Collaborator is used for very different types of a specific attack like SSRF. If you want to check for a server side request forgery, for such kind of attacks, we use the collaborator to locally create the web server. Proper example and code with us to be done if participant will have hands on. Then okay, so basically for that setup, uh, I mean then you will need the different, I can share the references, so you have to configure it on your own. I can share the references, that is not a problem, but it takes some time in terms of configuration. So code, so on this tooling, there is no part of any code. These are all the tools that you have to configure. So I can share those details over the email. That is not a problem. So by today I'll share that uh, on a email. Not a problem. Okay. So hands-on you can definitely do, but the thing is, uh, uh, chat box I can share the references. That is not a problem. So by end of the lecture I can do that. Okay, so decoder is for different kinds of strings. If you want to decode, if you have any base 64 string you received during testing, and you want to decode it, so like URL encoding, HTML encoding, base 64, so you can decode it over here. Comparer is used for to compare two different requests. Okay, so for example, I want to understand, I want to execute the privilege escalation in the web application, like vertical and horizontal. So I can compare the two requests over here. Okay, so what kind of a different parameters are going into different requests. So on that basis I can shuffle the parameters or the values to check whether I can escalate the privilege from guest to admin or admin to admin, that is vertical privilege escalation, right? So this is how it works. Logger is used for the check the logs, what requests are received and whatnot. Okay, extensions, there is this is the paid tool, it's a commercial tool, so you can write your own tools. There are multiple tools as well that you can use over here, right? It also support the scanning mechanism. Okay, so you can run the automated scan on the web application to understand the different types of vulnerabilities. Okay, this is about the tool. Let's move to the next tool, that is oh, sorry. In the web application assessment, I forget to tell you two more tools: Comics and SQL Map. So Comics is used for the command injection attack. SQL Map is used to SQL Map attack to completely exploit SQL injection vulnerability and command injection vulnerability. Comics is used. You can literally dump the shell on the box, get a reverse shell, download the data, download the passwords, whatnot. You can do with this Comics and SQL Map tool. WP Scan tool is used for the WordPress related websites. So you can run the scan on a WordPress and find out what kind of vulnerabilities are there. So actually that there we have very limited time, so I have to run little bit faster uh, to cover all the tools. So WP Scan is used for the WordPress related things. SQL Map and all. Password attacks tools. Uh, there are different password attacking tools, but nowadays it's not that easy to do the brute force attack because use all the WAPs and different types of commercial tools to basically secure the web applications. Wireless attacks tools, AirCrack NG is one of the best tool I would suggest if you want to pen test the wireless SSIDs. So AirCrack NG is the best tool you can go for. Reverse engineering. I mean, this is bit very deep. So let's take reverse engineering. It's, I mean, a very broader way. So I won't cover it right now because it will somehow confuse you. So reverse engineering is one of its kind of a different domain altogether. So what exactly the reverse engineering? So reverse engineering is a as a technique to how exactly that particular piece of software is built. So these are the some tools which are used to reverse the binary. So like for example, mm, IDA Pro is one of the tool that you can think of for the reverse engineering. We'll see the exploitation tool, that is Metasploit. So I will paste all the tools in the chat box, or I'll share over the email. Okay, if you want the tool name, okay, I can share like SQL Map, then Comics, Nmap, mm, WP Scan, per Suite, mm, Nikto, Maltigo. Maltigo you can go for, then Shodan, wireless attack tool you can go for AirCrack NG. Privilege escalations tool you can go for Econ NG. You can use Multigo, I have already shared. Showdown sensors. Yeah, that's about it. the tools. Let's go for the exploitation tool, that is Metasploit. So Metasploit is tool it is used for the exploitation. If we have a dog so that we can practice. Yeah, I mean, I can share the resources. I will share the brief resources with you. Let me just give me a minute. I'll just share with you right away till the time the tool will get start. So let me just give you the list of resources all together. A tool is getting started. So I'm just giving you the comprehensive list of everything, like how to start, how to study, everything. I'm giving at the single shot. So these are the resources to study the actual pen testing. Okay, so you can go over this website, references, courses, everything. You can find it over here. Let me share the VMware virtualization. Just a minute. Workstation download. This is for workstation VMware. You can download it from here. Kali Linux operating system link I am giving you. So go for the don't go for the uh, VirtualBox one. VMware. Yeah. So yes. So from here you can download the Kali Linux image as well. Bob Suite community editions you can download on Windows as well, and you can practice. Okay. So the tool is up. Let me share the screen. Okay, so this particular tool is used to run the exploit. So what exactly the exploit is? So exploit is a piece of code to run basically against the vulnerable asset. That may be any operating system, server, anything, right? So how exactly the exploit look? I'll just show you. So how to search the exploit? So in the scanner we have seen, right? There is one version, VSFTPD 2.0.8. So this is the version, right? Now we want to see, is there any possible exploit present to compromise that port? So let's search the version. So no result. Let's see, VSFTBD. Yes, there are two exploit, but the version is different. Okay, so if our VSFTPD has a version 2.3.4, so it has a exploit. Okay, 2.3.4 or 2.3.2. So let's see how exactly to configure the exploit. Okay, so there are different steps into the exploit. So auxiliary modules, exploit. So auxiliary module is a scanning module. So there are different types of modules in the Metasploit tool. There is a payload, there is a auxiliary module, there is an exploit. So in our interest, for a time being, let's see how exactly the exploit work. So if I want to configure the exploit, okay, so this is how it looks. If you want to run this exploit on this particular vulnerable version, so I have to set the R host, that is remote host, R port, on which port I want to run the exploit, that I want to specify over here. Suppose I want to configure the R host like 192.168.0.11. Ah, so as you can see here, I set up the remote host over here, and the R port is default one, and you can run the exploit from here. Okay, on the remote host. So there is a command exploit. It will run the exploit. So if the attack will get successful, you will get a shell on the box. Okay. So as of now, this IP is a dummy IP. So that's why you won't see any kind of a. But if there is a possible exploitation, you will see the session over here where you can get a access on the system. Okay, so now we'll see uh, different types of options. So there these are the commands, different types of commands with respect to the this tool that you can use. Okay, different types of modules. If you want to see after getting the shell, what kind of options are there. Different types of commands are here for this particular tool. Okay, there is also one website that is exploit-db.com that I have shared with you in the chat box. So how exactly it looks like. So this is the exploit-db.com where you can see the different types of exploits. So whatever exploits we saw in the Kali Linux, so same exploits, or I would say rather a very updated list of exploits you can see here. So let's see the recent one, uh, remote code execution. So on this particular web application, there is a simple online planning tool, something like that, and remote code authentication vulnerability is present over here. So that particular researcher has created the exploit in Python language. Okay, so this exploit you can use, provided you should have access to this particular vulnerable web application. So you can compromise it, you can create the user, whatnot. You can do a lot more things over here. So this particular websites track a record of the latest vulnerability. So these are the researchers who have found different types of vulnerability in different products. So their name is listed over here. You can understand what kind of a vulnerability they identified and how they exploited the vulnerability. There are some research papers as well that you can take help and read out your own, like if you want to understand any. But these are very, I would say, the intermediate or advanced level research materials. For that, you should have a quite basic understanding on the vulnerabilities, then regarding penetration testing, then you can get a hold of all this information. Okay. Exploitation tools we completed. uh, okay, social engineering toolkit, it is used for the social engineering related attacks. You can create the phishing page and Okay, so this particular tool is used to create the social engineering attack. Like if you want to steal at the time of pen testing, we make a use of this tool. Okay, and create the fake web pages to basically trap the internal people, or to trap the uh, basically our target audience. And for that purpose, we use this kind of a tool during the pen testing engagement. Okay, so this is the SAT tool that we call it as a social engineering toolkit. SAT tool you can write. Okay. Now we'll see one sample report, pen testing report, how it looks like. Okay, so at last, after doing all the engagements, all the pen testing and everything. So as a pen tester, we need to deliver the pen test report, like how you did your engagements and everything. So it's a very standard one, like executive summary, then high level summary and methodologies. Okay, so in the executive summary, we need to write for executive people what kind of vulnerabilities we identified, what was our objectives, what was the requirements, right? Then higher level summaries, right? How we executed the attacks, like service enumerations, what kind of reports we identified, vulnerability. Okay, in the penetration testing, like we need to properly mention the vulnerability, what was the vulnerable system, what is the explanation of the vulnerability, how it can be exploited. Okay, what is the fix, how to fix it, what is the severity of the vulnerability, it's a critical, high, medium. So on the basis of CIA triad, like confidentiality, integrity and ability, we calculate that. So there is a tool, CVSS calculator. So with that you can calculate the severity. Okay, and so this way we need to write the report, like what kind of activity we did. We done run the information gathering phase, right? After information, how we did the exploitation. So everything we need to mention properly, uh, and then you can for the review. Okay, you need to properly write the report so that even a non-technical person can understand like what kind of activities has been done by the researcher or the pen tester. So this is how the pen testing report looks like. So you can take a look at it. I'm just pasting the link over here. Okay, so yes, so we have like for more 10 minutes to discuss. So I'll probably leave that part for the Q&A. If I'm not wrong, there might be so many questions jumping in your head. So you guys can ask the questions, no problem. So, you can also send the questions in comment section as well.
Participants have any question, please feel free to ask.
In terms of getting or creating the career in information security or as a penetration tester, so we have a okay, the tool called Al-Kasir. For what purpose it is used? Al-Kasir. So, okay, I'll tell you about the tool. So there are n number of tools in the wild. So people create their own tools in the GitHub, right? So I never came across this Al-Kasir tool, frankly speaking. But I can check right away and I can tell you like for what purpose it is used. But like I said, it doesn't seems to be a very Al-Kasir cross-platform, open source, robust website censorship tool that also maps censorship patterns. Okay, so it might be used for the CA certificate assessment. Okay, might be the case. I have never came across this particular name tool. Yeah, so I was talking about the certifications. So there is one certification, Isaac Certified Penetration Tester. So I am one of the instructor for that. I am also a volunteer. So I teach people in 7 days boot camp, and you can be a part of it if you want. any of your students or any colleague or anyone you want to get start the career in here. So we provide 7 days boot camp over here, and in 7 days we whatever things I told you, right? So starting from the information gathering to exploitation, compromising the operating system, everything. So we do 20%, I would say like a max 20% theory, maximum hands-on session we do. We have a lab over there where you can practice the pen testing and everything. So it's up to you if you want to get enrolled. I just paste the link over here, and we have a training center in Nagpur. So I'll just paste the link of it as well. So you can be part of it. So, okay, so Q&A. You can ask the questions, queries, doubts, problem, whatever you have, or you can ping in the chat box as well.
Swati ma'am,
Yes, madam.
please conclude the
Okay,
session.
madam. On behalf of everyone present here, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Surendra Joshi for delivering such an engaging and insightful session on tools and techniques in cybersecurity. Your expertise and in-depth understanding of the subject have not only illuminated the current challenges in cybersecurity, but also provided us with practical knowledge of the tools and techniques essential for addressing these challenges effectively. Sir, your session was truly remarkable learning experience, and we are immensely grateful for the time and effort you dedicated to making it so enriching for all of us. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
thanks everyone. Thanks for listening me. I really appreciate your help and support, ma'am. And thank you once again. It was a very great experience for me as well. So yeah, I mean, any one of you looking to get into this career, so I can tell you one thing, like it's a great way and a great field to learn if you are very curious. So there is a say in information security. The crime is my crime is that of curiosity. uh, in the infosec field it is known. So if you are a curious, if you have a curious mind, then this field is for you. And I mean, it's completely up to you. So it's a very fantastic field, and the sky is the limit if you have a passion to learn these kind of things. So best of luck, and good luck for your career and your future endeavor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank,
Participants are kindly requested to fill out the feedback forms for both the session. Thank you.
thank you. Thanks everyone.
Thanks, sir.
Have a great weekend. Bye bye.